welcome to the Emotional Support Water Bottle with Hannah and Ailish. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Ailish. So, I got in a little fender bender.
Oh, no.
I know. It just was like a perfect little storm. And I rear-ended the car in front of me. I know.
I've done that before, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, I've never done it before. And it was like I saw the turn signal turn green, and then I got a call from my boss, and it was like I saw the green, answered the call, and then realized it was red, and it was too late, and I hit the car in front of me, and I was like shocked, and I felt so bad, and then there was this awkward altercation with like, where are we going? What are we doing? The traffic behind us. And there was zero damage to my car. Like, literally, it looks like nothing happened to my car at all. But I, like, dented hers and cracked the bumper.
Okay about it?
Yeah, she was very, very kind. I mean, she was probably around our age, too. Oh, really? Maybe a little bit older than us. But she didn't know what the heck she was doing, and she called her fiance, which I was kind of annoyed by, because I'm like, if you wouldn't have called your fiance, then I wouldn't have had to get the police involved, because she called 911, and then they brought the police there, and it could have just been like, exchange insurance information, like, I'll take care of whatever. But no, then I got cited.
Oh, God.
And even the police officer was like, I'm so sorry, but if she like wants to make it like a crash report, you know, you're gonna get a ticket. And I was just like, it was my fault. I have to just take accountability. Like, it's fine. It's whatever she wants to do. I'm not. So yeah, that happened. And I was annoyed. Like, I'm still just annoyed at myself, because I shouldn't have let that happen. But the most important thing is that everybody involved was okay.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you know what? This doesn't matter. Like, I need to just move past it. Like, I will pay what I need to pay, but like, in the grand scheme of things, like, it doesn't matter. I don't need to beat myself up over this for the rest of my life.
Well, I feel like now it's so hard almost not to get in a car accident, because everybody's like on your butt, and then you're trying to go, and then if somebody doesn't go, and even if it's not your fault.
I know. And I mean, not to like, you know, defend myself, but it also was rainy, so there were just a lot of factors against me. But I really should have been paying more attention. Like, it was just like, it was my fault, and it was just the perfect storm of whatever. But yeah, I'd never gotten in any type of accident like that before, so that was really weird for that to happen.
I know, and I feel like I always feel so clueless under those like circumstances too. It's like, I don't do this every day.
Right. And then my dad was like, did you call your insurance agent? And I was like, no, I didn't. Should I have called him? Like, there wasn't any damage to my car. Like, I don't know. And then they already had called me about the claim.
Okay.
But it wasn't my agent. It was like a representative. So I guess I'm going to call him tomorrow, because this happened at like 4:15 on Friday. So I guess I'll just call him tomorrow and be like, hey, so you probably already see, but this happened. So yeah. And it was just the end to like such a busy, annoying week. Of course that would happen. You know?
I know. And I just hate when like stuff like that happens and you're just cringing at yourself.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
what it felt like.
Like, why can't I just not do something stupid?
I know, that's exactly how I felt. And then I was going to meet coworkers, and they're like, "Where are you?" And I had to say,
I was in an accident.
Yeah, and then when I walked in, they all clapped.
Oh gosh.
Like, I'm embarrassed.
It is so embarrassing.
But whatever. I'm not
it's
gonna
fine.
I'm gonna try not to dwell on it, but it's just annoying.
I know. And then you're like, did I say all the right things in front of this person that the thing happened with?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was fine, but if she wouldn't have had that damn fiance, I wouldn't have gotten a ticket and points on my license.
That probably would have been me though, calling Brett. I'm like, what do I do? call the cops.
I know, but whatever. I roll.
Well, I was watching the Pussycat Dolls, like a deep dive on them on YouTube just for fun and
throwback.
I know. Well, I wondered if you remembered this. Do you remember when they were just like a dance group? Like they weren't the actual singers yet. Remember Kim Kardashian did?
Oh yes.
Like was a feature.
They did the little like burlesque thing. Yeah.
I just thought I totally had forgotten about that, and it was like they had like the guest singers and stuff with like Gwen Stefani would do it, Christina Aguilera, Christina Applegate.
I forgot about that.
Me too. I just thought it was funny. I don't know. I don't have that much to say about it, but it was just funny. I'm like, oh,
but the video was about that part of it.
It did that part, and then when it turned into the actual girl group with like Nicole and everybody.
Yeah.
So.
Remember when we used to do the Pussycat Doll workout video?
Loved it. It actually felt like a decent workout. It was just like dancing and that Robin.
Yeah. I mean, she was.
That was her name?
I don't even remember her last name. But she was good. I mean, I thought it was a good little workout. I don't think it did anything to our bodies because we did it like one time.
I know, or I'd like do it once a week.
Yeah.
It was mostly just fun to learn the dance.
Yeah, it was fun.
I guess her and Nicole Scherzinger.
Yeah.
Are like, I guess the Pussycat Dolls were going to get back together like I don't know, sometime soon. But then Nicole and Robin like are in a legal dispute right now. So it's like put on hold, and I never had heard anything about them getting back together. So.
I didn't even know they were in a legal dispute.
Yeah, it had I can't even remember what the video said, but yeah.
The Pussycat Dolls were a solid girl group for a while there.
I always wanted to do that as a Halloween costume.
Yeah, except there's only 2 of us.
But we could have found other people. Other people would have done it. But I think we could still do it.
I know we could. Who can we find?
I don't know, some relatives.
Or just like random people off the street.
We need like a redhead.
I can look
blondes.
in my pure bar classes and see if anyone
fits the description.
Yeah. Speaking of, this is really quick and short, but just speaking of pure bar, I had my first class with my new instructor because I lost my other one on Saturdays. I don't know. I just don't know how it's going to go. I'm trying to give her like be open-minded, but I don't know if she's going to be the permanent one because I looked for a future Saturday and it says TBD for the instructor. But I don't know. My world was shaken last weekend when I found out my favorite pure bar instructor was leaving.
That is so tough.
It sounds so silly, but once you get so used to somebody, it's like then it changes the dynamics of the class completely.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's like, and then you get like this stranger and they're not going to live up to that expectation. So then you almost feel bad for them too, that everybody's going to be like hating them.
Right. I know.
Like,
I know. I mean, she's nice. It wasn't like she's bad. But she's just
different.
She's not Megan. I know we talk about like Scandival and Vanderpump all the time, but with Ariana seeing this new man, what are your thoughts?
I think it's not. I don't know. I just think it's too soon. I think she is working on herself, but I was kind of disappointed, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know. Well, and it would have been one thing if she was seen making out with this guy at Coachella and they just had a little make-out sesh at the Frank Ocean concert or something, but it was like then we saw these photos of her hanging out with him for real and something was put on Instagram and then they were seen like kissing at the airport or something. Yes,
like that romantic like, oh, I don't want to leave you.
Right. It's like, and then you hear like Sheena just said, oh, I love him. Like he's such a great guy. Like, why do you feel like you have to be full on dating somebody?
I know. And I guess we don't truly know what's going on there, but I don't know. I was just disappointed. I just think I mean, I don't know. And maybe it will last. Who knows? And I'm sure he is a nice guy, but
I guess there's so many times with celebrities and just regular people where I'm just like, why do you constantly have to be in a relationship?
Yes.
Especially when like
nothing's sorted out.
Right. And in their situation, they were in like a 10-year relationship.
I know, like business. It's like it makes sense with Sandoval if he's trying to work out things with Raquel, because that's like the whole
happened.
thing. Yeah, but I just really wish Ariana would have, like, they get their house sorted out, everything sorted out, new places to live before any of that stuff. Like, I don't know. I would have rather saw that.
I'm not really the type of person where I'm like, oh my gosh, if I don't have like a man, I just don't even know how to live. Or like I need to be like fulfilled emotionally, sexually, like everything. Like I don't feel like I need that from a partner like all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like, and especially if you're coming off of this very traumatic breakup, why do you feel like you need to dive in with somebody else? I don't know. I guess I just have a different feeling about.
And like, I can't even, like, if me and my husband broke up, I wouldn't even want anyone to touch me for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't want to give my heart to somebody else. But it almost seems like maybe they were both like emotionally kind of out of the relationship before it ended. I don't know.
But for me, honestly, it makes me feel like maybe Ariana like was ready to break up with Tom and not as fully into it as we thought. Like, I don't know, because I just don't know, unless you're trying to literally just like block the pain out, which maybe that's what she's doing. But I don't see how even if you were like, well, you know, we were together, but we were actually, like, in my mind, we were already broken up.
Right.
Even if you felt that way, how do you still just jump into another relationship that quickly? I don't know. I feel like it is just kind of a defense mechanism. And maybe she was a little pressured by some of the people around her to get out there.
Move on.
Yeah.
Show him what he's missing. Because I honestly don't think Sandoval cares anyway.
Right, so I don't either.
I don't know what there is to prove, but I mean, as long as she's having fun.
Yeah, I guess that's all that matters. But we'll see where it goes. We'll see if he'll be on the new season.
Yeah. Like Satchel.
Yeah. I can't.
It's not his fault. No, we don't have to get into that.
His parents just made some interesting choices, and he's also making interesting style choices. But that's all we'll say about that.
Anywho, do you like stand-up comedians at all?
I mean, I don't think I've ever actually been to a real stand-up, like, live event, but I'm not really into like watching the specials on Netflix and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. It's like some of the things I think are funny, but I kind of just have to be in the right like mood. Yeah.
Well, I've been to 2 shows, like not really like huge big names or anything, just like locally.
Yeah.
Whatevers. But I've read many and listened to many celebrity written books, and a lot of comedians do write books, and the women, like female comics, seem to be very like vulgar.
Yes.
And I wonder if that's so they'll be taken seriously by men, but sometimes it is like a bit much. Like, I feel like there's a lot more ways that women can be funny than just being like over the top and vulgar.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I've never seen a female comic in person or anything. But
I mean, it would be interesting to go. That should be something that we do. Is go to a stand-up. But it's funny that you say that because I listened to a recent episode of Juicy Scoop, and Heather McDonald, I wish I could remember what her guest name was, because she's another female comic, and she was Southern, and like her accent was so strong. It was kind of funny and cute. And they were saying that exact same thing. They're like,
really?
Yes, they're like, we are clean like comics, and there was a lot of pressure for us to tell those like vulgar jokes or off-color jokes, and they're like, that's just not what we have ever been as people, so why would we like
just do that to get the laughs?
Yeah. And they did mention that a lot of it was like pressure from men, but then they also said, you know how like they might do like a warm-up act or something, and that sometimes the warm-up act that they would pair with them would be another female comedian that is more like dirty. And they're like, this doesn't make any sense. And now I'm going to come out and be like, a clean comic. So that's so funny that you bring that up, because they were just saying that.
I've been just kind of thinking about that a lot. Well, one of the things I listened to Ali Wong's book, and she's pretty vulgar, I guess, which I didn't know that much about her. Anyway, she said, well, when she was like just coming up, she had like this act. And anyway, so she came up and she was like, it must have been an open mic. Doesn't matter. There was like these frat boys, and they're like, oh, this is going to suck. Like as soon as they saw her. And so she starts doing her thing, and I guess she talks about her butthole a lot and shows her butthole and stuff. And then, so anyway, they were like laughing and loving it. And then they came out at the end and they're like, we love you. That was awesome. And like bought merch and stuff. And I just felt like it was like they weren't going to take her seriously, that she could be funny unless she was being completely out there. And I definitely think that is part of her personality. Like it seems really genuine, but it was just really interesting, I thought.
Well, it's just, I don't know. Everybody has their own things that they find funny and senses of humor, but I guess I just like don't find that kind of humor that funny. Like in certain situations,
I do think it's funny, but I feel bad for women that they feel like they have to like appeal to men,
right?
In those ways to be funny.
Sometimes even with men, though, I feel like, would you typically make that joke, or are you just making it in front of this crowd because you think it's gonna get a lot of laughs?
Right. It's about just bodies.
Right. Like, I don't know. That's just not like, there's definitely times where I think that can be funny, but like that's not really my sense of humor. So
I know. It's
just, I don't know.
I know. It's like, as long as it's genuine.
Yeah.
I think it's good, but it just sucks that women have to, like, to be taken seriously, have to appeal to men so much.
Yeah, I agree. But I think it would be really hard to be a female comic.
I know. I think being a comic in general, like, I can't imagine trying to, like, stand up on stage, write all these jokes and trying to get people to laugh. And even though I don't love stand-up comedy, I really respect it as an art.
It must be so challenging.
I know, like, I can't imagine, like, that, like, writing jokes and, like...
I couldn't.
And bombing.
Oh,
it's
my
like,
gosh.
Can you imagine getting up there? Just, like, even some of those comedians' books and stuff, I'm like, oh, my gosh, I, like, could not handle that.
I know. Or just the people who might be out there that are giving you, like, the pity clap.
Yeah.
And it's like...
and then, like, hecklers. Yeah. It's like, oh, I just couldn't do it.
Who was it? Wasn't it like Kevin Hart on an interview, and he said he was like at some random like comedy thing, but it was like a dinner lunch. It was such a bizarre situation he was explaining, and he like went up there, and like a woman, like maybe a woman who was a little bit older, he gave a joke, and she just went like, "Oh no." Imagine like having that be the reaction.
I know, you're like, oh god, and then you have to like just keep going. Like,
I know. And I think it was interesting too because Just speaking of that, Heather McDonald had said in a recent episode too, like sometimes like when she goes up and other comedians go up, they might like exaggerate a story or kind of like make something up because it's more funny. And it's like thinking about that situation with Kevin Hart, I'm like, did that really happen or did you just make that up? Either way, it's funny. But
it's funny. But I mean, speaking of comedians, our book club or book writer, book club writer is a comedian, I guess he would consider himself.
And he definitely started, which I didn't know that.
No, that he. It's funny when you hear about like kids that start out as like comedians. Yeah, I don't know. It's just cute. Josh Peck's book.
Yeah, for those of you who might just be tuning in with us, we are starting a monthly book club, and this month's was Josh Peck's book, Happy People Are Annoying, and we're just going to talk about it. And then if you read this book and have some comments, we'd love to hear your opinions and your thoughts. Yeah.
What were your overall thoughts on the book?
I mean, I had a lot of notes on this because
so do I.
I thought it was a very good book. Like,
I thought so too.
I really didn't know a ton about Josh Peck, to be honest, besides like the Drake and Josh and the Amanda Show stuff. And then I think once he said the stuff about Vine, I was like, oh yeah.
I know, I vaguely remembered.
But I pretty much forgot about just him, which might sound kind of bad, but I just didn't really know about his life. So I thought overall it was really just a great like step back and view of his life and his experience, and I thought that he actually was very insightful in his musings about his life and how he talked about it. You could tell that he like put in a lot of work to get where he is today.
Yeah, I agree. He definitely has put the work in himself. And I think a lot of times with these like celebrity memoirs and stuff, it's like, here's all the bad stuff that happened to me, feel bad for me. But I feel like he was not like that at all. And he even says at a certain point that it's like, I really felt like my life just sucked. But now I know it's like everybody gets dealt a bad hand, and it's like how you deal with it. And I just loved how reflective he was, because we don't really find that much.
It honestly was refreshing.
It really was. I thought it was very refreshing too, and it was kind of upbeat too. And I will say this though, I didn't think he was funny.
Yeah, I didn't like how he read it. Like it was just kind of like kitschy and like but I thought if I was reading this,
maybe it would it
be different? And I feel like in some ways, yes. But because it was all through his voice,
his delivery of the jokes, and they weren't like over the top. They were just like dad jokes thrown in there all the time.
And sometimes
it didn't do anything for me.
Right. And sometimes it was just like he used a lot of like analogies. Yeah. And it was almost like I didn't need 5 analogies for this one situation. No. Like I honestly understood it the first time without the analogy. And then you gave me 5. But I do get like, that might just be his sense of humor.
I definitely think it was true to him. Like I feel like he really wrote the book.
And I will say, in contrast to Emily Ratajkowski's, where I felt like hers was so monotone and she basically didn't even want to be reading this at all. Like I did like that he was more animated and like you could feel some emotion, but it still felt very genuine.
Yeah, it was definitely read by somebody who was an actor. Not that he was acting, but it was like he was good at delivering, where Emily Ratajkowski, I mean, although she did act, it just wasn't. Just wasn't from an actor.
Yeah, and it just seemed like he enjoyed telling this story more. And I don't know, maybe she didn't enjoy that. But anyway, this is about Josh Peck. Yeah, so
we'll get into her.
I guess my notes kind of start from like the top, and his book was more like sequential, which I appreciated too.
I know that was nice, where Yeah, I really enjoyed that too. Was it just a book of essays?
Yeah.
Like
it was a complete telling a story of his life. Everything about him as a child and being overweight, like there were so many things, like moments that he brought up and topics that he brought up that I never even considered. Like I didn't even think about before hearing his perspective.
Yeah, I agree. He really got into like basically when he was growing up, there wasn't like body positivity,
which we have talked about too. Yeah.
And he said, he was always big. And he really just hated that about himself. And he's like, it doesn't reflect the way I feel about other people that maybe are struggling with their weight. But he's like, when you're constantly being told that you're big and everybody is always bringing it up. And he said, well, basically, he does acknowledge why he has the food issues, which I really liked.
Me too.
So basically, he had older parents. His dad, they were like a one-night stand.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. So a little affair.
And then she was 42 and he was 60 or something. Yeah. Like something crazy.
So it's basically a miracle that she even got pregnant.
So they have him. His dad didn't want anything to do with them.
Because he had a whole other family.
I mean, I guess we could wrap up the dad part too.
Yeah.
Like basically, his dad ends up passing away before he even meets him. But he finds his sister on Facebook through one of his friends. And then he sees that his dad had like a whole life. And he decides not to reach out to the sister or anything because there just was no point. And I thought that was really cool that he was like, you know what? I'm not going to mess with these people's lives.
I think that I don't know how I would have felt in that situation.
I know.
Like his relationship with his dad or lack thereof was really a thread throughout the whole book.
It really was.
And it's just kind of crazy how, I mean, obviously monetarily, like that impacted the family.
Yeah.
But also just how like literally him being an actor then and having to be a son to different people, actors playing his dad, and him being like, well, I don't have a dad. Like, is that weird how I said that, or should I have done it differently? Like, that's something I wouldn't have even considered. I know.
But and it definitely was a situation where his dad just literally did not want to be a part of his life at all.
So that feeling of abandonment, like that's
I know he
tough.
Couldn't quite, and that obviously made him he was self-medicating with food.
But I thought it was interesting too how he mentioned with his mom, like his mom
also had.
Yeah, which obviously, I mean, he says multiple times how he really like cares about his mom and stuff, but yeah, his mom is the one who kind of fostered that unhealthy relationship with food because she had that unhealthy relationship.
She did. Yeah, I think at some point he says they would have like binges together and like go to like a gas station, get all these snacks, and then like hide away in their rooms and just binge eat.
And I thought it was really sad, but just an interesting part that he shared about himself was that one of his core memories from a young age was his relationship with food and being fat.
Yeah.
Like and of course he had other things that were positive memories, but like that being like such a core feeling that really drove forward through his teenage and adult years.
Yes.
I mean, that is so impactful. And it's just like something he constantly has to work on.
I know, like and then always that.
Making it worse that he was a child actor and then being cast in like the Amanda Show and then Drake and Josh. It was like, okay, well, Drake is the thin, like normal, quote unquote,
the good looking guy, the hot one, and
you're
Josh
the fat, funny one. Yeah.
Like, it was just really sad for him.
And I think it's sad too. I know his mom was a single mom, and it seems like she really tried her best to keep them afloat. But like, I think it's so unfair when parents like push their kids into a certain industry and then use them for a paycheck. And again, I think like it seems like he has a very good relationship with his mom and there's like a lot of love there, but it's just like he was the one that felt like he had to take care of his mom, and if I don't get a job, like we're gonna have to move somewhere else, you know, like that is so much pressure for a kid.
It definitely was. He will not speak poorly about his mom, but I definitely, if you're reading in between the lines, I don't know if I feel like because she was in his life, he was just happy because his dad wasn't. So it's like the fact that she was a part of his life, that he didn't really care that she wasn't the perfect parent, which it's like nobody is, but there definitely was unhealthy things there.
And he acknowledged the stress that he had because of that and the anxiety, but he never spoke ill of her.
No, which I think was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's nice because they do have like a good relationship and she's alive, so it's like it would be kind of upsetting to just bash your mom in this book. But I didn't know that he had any addiction problems.
No, I did not know that either. Because he kind of just like fell off. Like, I guess after Drake and Josh, him and Drake went their separate ways. And then it's like after that, it's hard to find your place. I think we see this kind of like trope with child actors all the time. And I think it's really sad because you kind of like lose your identity from that thing you're so famous from.
Yeah.
And I think somebody brought up the perspective that him and Drake probably had very different experiences from the success of that show. Like Drake was, you know, known as the hot guy. So he was probably, we don't know this, but out partying and with young Hollywood where Josh wasn't.
He'd like go home to his mom.
Yeah. So it's like once he got done with that, I guess he ends up like meeting this girl and he's basically offered for the first time.
Okay, but who do you think this is?
I don't know. It has to be somebody famous.
Because he said, like, I don't remember the exact name that he used, but he was like, we'll call her Samantha or whatever he said. And he's like, even though we know that's not who it is. So I like dug through years. No, I couldn't find anything concrete. But I am just wondering, like, do you think... Oh, Jessica. I wrote it down in my notes Jessica. If I would look at my notes. He called her Jessica. Do you think it was Amanda Bynes? Because the years... Like, yes, they were on the Amanda show together, but they were quite young when they were on the Amanda show. And then by the time he, like, got skinny and was going out, like, that was when Amanda was also, like, at the height of her career with, like, She's the Man and all these other movies.
I just don't know, because was this... He meets her when he lives at that, like, up-and-coming... apartment complex where like up and coming actors live or whatever. Is it that where he met her and there was like... I didn't know.
He
was like
Did
in the
they
hot
meet
tub.
Then? I thought it was somebody that he already knew. Maybe I needed to like pay more attention.
I know. Well, that part was...
But it was just the fact that he was like... He said, we'll call her Jessica, even though we know that's not who it is.
It's definitely somebody famous. I don't know if I feel like it was Amanda or not. What sounds like Jessica?
Been, you know?
I guess it could have been anybody, really.
I looked through girlfriends.
Could be like Lindsay Lohan.
I know. But like, why did he word it that way? Like, there was never anything in the press about his addiction.
No.
So it's like, how would we have even known? I don't know. That's why I thought it was Amanda. And then Amanda
it could
obviously went off the rails.
At some
so
point.
I was like, maybe he always had a crush on her, but he was the, kid that was overweight before, and now he lost the weight. I don't know. I don't
know either. I mean, it could have been anybody, but
someone he starts
Hollywood. He starts this drug problem. And I guess it lasts, I can't remember,
it was
for
really
a while.
like, I think, and I wish I would have written down dates. I think it was only like 3 or 4 years, which, I mean, to say only, I know that's for a drug problem, that seems really ridiculous to say, but I mean, in the scheme of things, like, there are people who are addicts for decades,
right?
And he really, it was like a flash in the pan, kind of, from when he like said all this stuff and all these issues he was having, but then he's like, then in this year I, went and got sober, and I was like, oh my God, that was only like 3 years later. If that, it might have not even been that long.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, instead of his addiction to food, because at this point he's lost the weight,
yeah.
He instead fills the void with the drugs and the alcohol. So that is why that starts.
I thought it was interesting how he was saying how he had challenges with losing weight too, and then once he finally did, it was like he had this new kind of confidence and stuff, but it was like people would always still bring it up.
Oh yeah,
saying, well, you were funnier when you were fat, like,
yeah.
You miss the old Josh, like, what are you doing to keep the weight off, all those things. And even though he might be happier with himself, his weight was still a topic of conversation.
It was. That was really hard for him, because I think even now it's hard for him too.
Yeah.
And then because he gets this one role, I don't think that movie ever ended up coming out, but it was with Chris Hemsworth, and it was a remake of something. And so he takes this role like, oh, I got to be this super buff guy.
Yeah, I think that one did come out. What did they say?
I remember it had like bad issues with like the the studio buys it, and then just stuff. I don't know if it ever ended up coming out. But he says he basically does this terrible job because he's trying not to be this like comedic actor and be known for that.
Yeah, no, I looked it up. I was quick on the draw.
It was a remake
Red
of
Dawn.
Yeah.
And it did come out. Like, and it also starred Josh Hutcherson.
Oh. I
never saw this movie. It has a 14% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So 5.3 out of 10 from IMDb. So yeah, it wasn't great there. But yeah, he said how he basically was horrible in that movie because he was struggling
so hard. And then
and Adrienne Palicki, I forgot about her.
And then he talks
random.
There she is. And he talks about how, like, even when he was working out for that movie, his body wasn't what he was expecting. And I guess at some point, which he never goes back to, I don't know if you caught this, but he said he had to get like skin cut off.
Yeah.
But then he never talks about it again.
Did he? Yeah. I'm assuming.
And it's like, I feel like that could have been kind of an interesting
surgery. Because story. I do, with people who do gain a lot of weight and then lose it, like the elasticity in their skin oftentimes doesn't go back like it used to. And I do find that so interesting. Like with a celebrity, obviously it's way easier to go in and get that surgery, but for a normal person, like, that's life changing. And he was never at, I don't know, when he like threw out numbers for his weight, and it was kind of shocking to me because even when I like remembered watching Drake and Josh, I never thought like, oh my God, he's huge.
No, he was. I mean, he was just bigger, but I mean, Drake was also very thin.
Yeah,
so it's like, of course you're gonna look bigger next to him. It does say that he was an addict for 4 years.
Oh, it was 4. It was 4 years. Hannah took the better notes.
I guess I got a little, but yes. But yeah. So anyway, he's on that same trope of child actor does drugs.
Yeah, and he has just so much, like, I don't know if it's as deep as like self-hatred.
I feel like it kind of was though, because he said he just felt much more himself when he would do the drugs, and like, because he wasn't really feeling those negative thoughts or like dealing with the fact that his dad left him or that he was, and the trauma there must have been from being an overweight person on screen, where that's all people talk about. Because at some point he says everybody compared him to like the greats, like John Candy,
and
Belushi,
John
Chris Farley.
Chris Farley.
And he's like, that's amazing that you're comparing me to them, but they all had tragic endings.
Yeah, they all died.
It's like, it's like I want to be compared to them, but also not. That's not what I want my outcome to be.
And I guess, I don't know. I don't remember him being like side-splittingly funny either.
No, like I just... And like I liked Drake and Josh. Like I remember thinking it was funny, but I don't remember like I don't know thinking he was like that level.
Yeah, me either. I did. Yeah, I don't know.
And he wanted to be on all that, but they wouldn't let him.
Yeah,
like so it's like that is like the kid SNL. But
I thought it was sad. Just speaking of his other like adult movies, that not like adult films, but like adult roles that he had in movies, and he's like, I basically just self-sabotaged myself and I imploded because I was struggling with addiction. I wasn't coming to my shoots on time. I was doing all these things to just ruin my career, and like that was just really sad to hear that, and it was just something that we didn't even know.
It's like, oh, he just didn't want to act, and he even like brings that up, and he actually blows it with Judd Apatow too, and he's like, look what he did for like Jonah Hill and Seth Rogen, and he's like, I think he actually got fired, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like full blown fired because he was like drugged out and just self-sabotaging. Which was sad, but
I know it was really
he had
sad.
Like one good movie that I guess he got a lot of praise. The Whack.
And I never even heard of that.
I think I did once I started really thinking about it, because I remember there was like some movie where it was like kind of a big deal he was in, but he got to work with like his hero and everything. And he said that whole, what was it, 6 weeks?
Yeah.
He was just sober and really tried hard.
Yeah.
And it was just sad that, nope, he just goes right back to doing the drugs.
I really liked how he just took a lot of accountability for everything, like with getting sober and just like being an addict in the first place. Like he didn't try to put blame on all these other things. Like he could have easily just been like, well, I'm like this because of my dad. I'm like this because of Hollywood. But he didn't. He completely took that on, that like, yes, this was a me problem. I'm the one that made these choices.
Yes.
I'm the one that needed to get out of this. I'm the one that like really sabotaged my career. Like he just, that was really refreshing, because I feel that so many people are just constantly looking for others to blame, and they don't take that accountability.
And I agree. And he's like, this is why I do this stuff, or like the not having the dad and all that and being overweight contributes to why I act this way, but I'm still making all my choices.
Right. And I think he said that multiple times. Like, I'm not trying to give excuses for these things, but they're like, these are factors in my life that maybe led me to this.
Yes.
But I still had the choice to do it. And that's just something that I don't think a lot of people have that.
No, they don't want to ever take accountability. And I think a lot of this comes from AA.
Yeah.
Because he's gone, I guess, for like 13 years or
long
something.
time.
I think I have it written down somewhere, but it kind of, I want to go to AA.
I know. It's just seeing or hearing, I guess, the clarity that he has on his life, and just how much of a positive impact that has had on him, not just with his addiction, but just in his general outlook on life.
On everything.
Yeah, I think this is like skipping ahead a little bit, but towards the end, there was that speaker that they had at AA, and it's what the quote was: giving up what you think defines you to find, or this is the title or the topic, was giving up what you think defines you to find happiness. And then the quote was, you're the fish you're trying to catch. Like, you're the love of your own life. Yeah. And I was like, that is so true. And it's so cheesy to be like, you have to love yourself, blah, blah, blah. But like, it really reigns true, where like, if you don't take the time to take care of yourself, yes, and to put in work on yourself, then you're not going to be helpful or to others and find that love with somebody else, or just find that sense of worth and purpose.
I know. I thought that was really, really good advice. Like, even when I think about parenting and being stressed about it, it's like, no, I need to take care of me too, or else I can't give anyone else, my 100% either. But
because like, giving up what you think defines you. Like, I could say like, my work defines me. Right. Well, what if I woke up tomorrow and that was gone? Right. Or like, for you, like your children, obviously that's a horrible thought to wake up and then be gone. But it's like, if you're just only defined by being a mother and that's the only way that you get happiness.
Yeah, it's like, what are you? Yeah. Or like, kids grow up, or
right.
Careers change, so you really do have to find who you are. And I think that was just really good advice. Like, right. He had such good advice.
And like so crazy. Much of it came from AA.
Yes, it's like, I want to go to freaking AA meetings, but I guess it's kind of controversial. Yeah. So, like, which I didn't know.
I didn't know either. When he said that, I had no idea.
No, I didn't know that either. He's like, because I guess if, somebody falls off the horse again, they blame AA, but it's like, I guess Steve-O, he brings this up, that Steve-O said, if you're work out or whatever and then you gain weight back,
people don't
blame the gym. Yeah. And it was like, oh, okay.
It's so true.
Which I had just had no idea there was that stigma around.
Me either. I didn't either. I think he must have had a really good sponsor though too.
Yeah, definitely. He did talk about a guy that he picked kind of and asked him to like be his sponsor or whatever, and it like worked out really well. And I just thought that was cool. Like, I can't imagine being able to just like go up to somebody and be like, can you just like help me?
Yeah, I know. So like, you don't even know.
I know. And it's like, those people are there to help you. Like, they're so willing and giving, which I have heard that about people in AA, that they're just so selfless and they'll help you.
I mean, I don't want this to come off the wrong way of us being like flippant about it, right. But it's like, where's the meeting that we can go to? Because that would be like
literally
so just, I feel like that environment must be so accepting and welcoming. I just appreciated his self-awareness that he gained through that program, and then how it just allowed him to really grow, and how his self-awareness throughout the book, where he even talked about like, now he's a husband and a father, and how he goes through challenges every day, but it's like he wouldn't be in this place where he is right now if it wasn't for getting sober and going through that program. And I feel like it's just given him a very different outlook on life.
I know. And like, it seems like it's that constant in his life and the constant support, which is really cool. I just want to, like we said, not to discredit it or anything, but I just want to go, even though I don't have addiction issues.
I know. I also appreciated him talking about having to be a continuous learner. Yeah. So at one point he talked about that with going back to acting classes. Yeah. And he kind of thought, being like a younger child actor, like, oh yeah, well I've already been there, done that, like right. I'm great. But then going to the acting classes when he was an adult, and how different of an experience that was, and how challenged he was. Yes. And how he realized that he did still have work and that he needed to do, and things that he could have done differently or better. Like, I appreciated that, because it can go through any part of your life, like any job. Like, you can't just stay stagnant.
Right. I know he did he said he had a pretty big ego problem, and once he let all that go and just like you know what? I don't know everything.
Yeah.
It really just worked on himself, how much different everything went for him. And then he ends up going to social media after basically not really getting anything in Vine. Were you on Vine at all?
Yeah, I was. I loved Vine. That was when we were in college.
Yeah, I feel like
those years. It was basically TikTok, except it was shorter. Yeah, it was hilarious. Like some of the stuff on there.
I didn't have Vine, but Vine would pop up on Twitter and everything. Yeah. But I guess he starts to be one of like the top creators on Vine, and he just works so hard at it and is like doing this like fun stuff. And then Vine gets deleted. It was like, he goes, everything's going so great, and then no more Vine.
He wakes up one day and Vine is gone. I know that. But speaking of Vine, and we talk about all the time with like our TikTok, and it is just so challenging. And he was like, I had to post every single day, and I was constantly trying to think of new ideas. And then he got brand endorsements, and it was like,
and he's like meeting with like big businesses, executives, and with people, and they're like, this is why you need social media. It was like really in the height of when social media marketing was going on. Off.
Yeah, for sure. Because even at that time, so it must have been, so I would have been like 2012.
That's what I'm guessing.
I think it was around there. And I can't remember what date he put, but it had to have been around there, 2012, 2013. And then I don't even know. I think Vine was gone before I was out of college, or maybe I just had deleted the app. I don't know.
I know it got unpopular for some reason, and then a little after that they just took it away.
There wasn't anything that really replaced it at the time. It was just like, oh yeah, that was cool. Yeah, and then it just died. I don't know. But before that, it literally like there weren't really the hardcore influencers.
No.
Like Instagram was still just friends posting heavily filtered photos of like sunsets and stuff. Like it wasn't anything more than that. And like Twitter was still you just sharing out random funny thoughts or whatever. And then Vine was just nonsense.
Right.
So, but then it started to get in with like companies were like, no, we can use this.
Right.
And then
I don't know if that like
catapult. I don't know what the downfall of Vine was.
I don't know what it was either. Just like, and then they're like, we're gonna delete every Vine that ever existed.
Yeah.
But basically, then he decides to start doing YouTube, and I think in the mix of this too, he gets that John Stamos sitcom,
that show,
that like gets canceled, but. Anyway, he starts on YouTube, and I loved how he was talking about just, like, his persistence in it. He's like, I need to make money for my family or, like, my wife and stuff, and he just, like, keeps pushing through it. He gets through stuff, like, the trends and just studies it, and he said, I wouldn't take any kind of a day off, and I just loved that. I wish, like...
But it's just from...
He had the time.
Yeah, and for him... like he was an actor, he did have a different, like he never had a traditional 9 to 5.
Right.
He didn't have the same where it's like, I mean, just speaking for us, for example, we can't just quit our day jobs.
Right. And just
as much as we would love to, but it's like he had a little bit of financial security where he was able to do that. And then, you know, he was able to really make it grow and it was, but I never watched his YouTube channel.
I didn't either. When I remember like Josh resurfacing was because he was friends with David Dobrik.
Oh yeah, well that was Vine stuff, wasn't it?
I think that was YouTube.
That was YouTube.
I don't know if it was still the Vine, but I know for sure YouTube.
Yeah,
but yeah, so that's when I remember he started resurfacing, but I didn't know he had like this whole Vine career. I didn't know anything else from that.
Yeah, I'm sure because I was on Vine. I'm sure at some point I saw him, but
child star.
Yeah, but I don't remember being like, Josh Peck is hilarious. Like he's back. Like, no, I don't recall that.
No, me either. But yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too how he said that he has to keep auditioning. Like I don't know. Maybe this is just something that I feel or have a unrealistic perception of, but I just think like, oh, you're famous. Like they just choose you.
Right.
But it's not necessarily true. Like you do have to still audition for the role.
Yeah, he kind of gets into about how once he was able to not have to rely on acting for making money anymore, he could actually enjoy it again. And he said, I didn't enjoy auditioning back then, but now I do once I took the time to like restudy the craft. And then I would go out and audition. He said I wouldn't tell anybody. I would just do it because I wanted to. And then I think that was when he got the John Stamos job. But it sounds like he still might be auditioning for things actively, like to this day, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, and I don't know. I didn't look his IMDb up to see what he has cooking, but yeah, I think it seemed like he is still auditioning.
And he's like, he was at one audition and there's like all these kids in there, and this kid like looked at him like, what are you doing here auditioning? And he's like, yeah, it was pretty humiliating, but it's like, here I am, and I'm gonna do it because I don't have that same ego that I did.
But yeah, he finally got through the ego and makes him just a better person overall. Overall, I enjoyed the book a lot. It was interesting to hear more about his life because I didn't know much about him. I was not a huge Josh Peck fan before this, and I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan now, but I just have a different appreciation for him. I think.
Loved just like the self-growth, and I feel like he really did a lot of inner child work too.
Yeah, it was honestly, as lame as this sounds, is kind of beautiful to hear because he's not that much older than us.
No, he really
a handful of years, and he's been through a lot of different things, and I think he easily could have just stayed where he was and been this like, egotistical addict.
I know,
but like he's not. Like he's put in a lot of time to work on himself, and you can tell.
I know, he seemed really genuine. I mean, I'm not gonna like actively look for stuff he's in, but I'm definitely like happy for him, and I actually got something out of the book.
Yeah,
so I would recommend the book.
I enjoyed the book. Okay, well, if you have any thoughts about the book, if you've read Happy People Are Annoying, let us know and put your thoughts in comments, because we'd love to hear what you guys think.
If you agree with us or if you completely disagree.
Yeah. And we don't have a solid book chosen for next month, so we'll have to let you know next week on that one. But please make sure to follow with our book club that happens monthly. I have a recommendation. And I had to look up the brand because I literally couldn't remember what it was. But it is the Glow Recipe Leave-In Conditioner.
Ooh.
And I think it's like, I want to say it's like a cucumber, or maybe it's not even from Glow Recipe. I'm pretty sure it is from them, or I could just be making it up. Hopefully I'm not making it up. But if not, someone will figure it out and find the right information. I guess really just a leave-in conditioner in general. I think any are probably fine. But I didn't really use that. I would use like a hair mask in the shower, but I never use like a leave-in conditioner. But now I have one that I just spray in my hair and while it's still kind of wet, and I have noticed a big difference in just how my hair feels. So especially if you like color your hair or anything, I would definitely recommend it.
I like leave-in conditioners a lot. I'll have to try that one.
Yeah. I'll tell you the real brand. It's not right.
I'm going to recommend, I like to use the Native deodorant because I like the scents, and they have this like candy shop thing going on, and the gummy bear scent was so good. I had to get that one, and my son wanted me to get that one. I was like, no, I don't want that one. I smelled it. I was like, which sounds weird. Why would you want your armpits to smell like gummy bears? But it does smell good. Also, I have a complaint about deodorant in general. Why does the bottom of the deodorant stick part not just stuck, like glued on to that little stick? Because once you get to the end, it just flicks out.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I feel like it's lighter, like I'm probably towards the end, and then you do it, and then the thing just goes flying across the room.
Yeah, why can't it be stuck on there? I don't understand that either.
Just to do that.
And it's silly because it looks like you still have more left, and it's a surprise. Like, oh,
there it goes.
Not. Yeah.
There she goes. I know, I hate that. But then a lot of times too, I'll like keep that and keep using it. It's like they just want you to have to buy it sooner. I don't know. That's just annoying. But that's every deodorant that does that. But
I just have a problem finding like natural deodorants that actually work for me and that I like. It's so hard.
It is hard. And like I do sometimes still use an antiperspirant, like if I know I'm going to be like wearing something that needs less sweat.
Yeah.
But I just find that with the natural ones, you have to like make sure you're applying it like a couple times a day, which is like annoying, but I don't know, I'm so used to it now.
I did use the Native, and I actually have like 3 unused of like the coconut one, I think it is, because they accidentally sent me like 1 million.
Oh.
But so if you want them, you can have them.
Okay.
But I didn't like them in the winter time, because when I would wear my sweaters, that's when I would feel like I would get so sweaty, and then it just got gross, and I'm like, and you're supposed to give it like X amount of time for your body to like react, and I did, but I started using a roll-on. I have a different brand that I use, and I actually really like it.
Nice.
I should have if we coordinated we could have just talked about deodorant.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to another episode. You know where to find us, anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, and make sure to follow us and give us a nice rate and review.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.